Hello and welcome back to the best of Rslash. Today we're taking a look again at Rslash AskReddit, answering the question, what are some ridiculous history facts? In 1895, the entire state of Ohio had only 2 cars. Both cars managed to still smash into each other. Abraham Lincoln's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, was present at 3 different presidential assassinations. After McKinley, he decided not to accept any more invitations. Really? That's so interesting. 101 years ago, a massive tank of molasses burst open in Boston, causing a sticky wave that killed 21 people and injured well over 100. The Great Molasses Flood spread at about 35 miles an hour. How do you have... What? A giant tank of molasses? That is so sad, but that is so crazy. The first known political cartoon is Egyptian and shows Hatshepsut, the only woman pharaoh, pegging her lover and chief architect Senmut. Oh my gosh. There's a children's book called The Pharaoh's Secret that kind of gets into this interesting book. That is wild. When Alexander the Great was a child, he was reprimanded by a teacher for wastefully throwing 2 whole fistfuls of rare incense into a sacrificial fire. When he was an adult and captured Gaza, which happened to be the prime agricultural source of the incense he wasted, he sent home 18 tons of it to the same teacher as a gift. Yo, that's actually way epic. Karl Marx's great-great-grandson has a YouTube video of him doing parkour called !Marx. I watched it and it's not actually bad or anything, just funny considering his lineage. Former US President Andrew Jackson was approached by a man who pulled a gun on him. Smaller history fact, this was the first assassination attempt on a US president. The man pulled the trigger and the cap went off, but the gunpowder failed to light. The man pulled a second gun and fired, but the gunpowder again failed to light. The assassin tried to get away, but not before Andrew Jackson got him and beat the shit out of him with a cane. Andrew Jackson is a badass. Potatoes were not very popular as a food in France, like they were seen as fit only for animals. Not only that, but they were considered generally not digestible by humans. So a pharmacist named Parmentier knew they were good food and wanted to popularize them among the working class. So he got 2-acre farm to grow potatoes and placed armed guards around it at all times. People assumed armed guards meant something very valuable was growing there, so they began to steal the potatoes. That's how potatoes became popular in France as working class. He also told his guards to accept bribes and to not actually catch anyone. That's actually a really good way of spreading something. Yo, that's actually really good. During the Cold War, there was an idea to drop XL condoms labeled medium onto the Soviets to make them think we were anatomically superior and be more afraid of fighting us. Easily my favorite part of American history. Whoops, I dropped my monster condom for my magnum dong. Yeah, that's so funny. General Omar Bradley was stopped by MP during the Battle of the Bulge in World War II due to them thinking he was a Nazi infiltrator. The irony was that he was stopped because he correctly identified the capital of Illinois as Springfield when the officer thought it was Chicago. Pepsi once had the 6th largest military in the world after the price of Russian vodka couldn't cover their deal for Pepsi products. So they traded 17 submarines, a frigate, a cruiser, and a destroyer for the trade deal. Fun fact, the president of PepsiCo at the time told the National Security Advisor, "We are disarming the USSR faster than you are." That's amazing. Montenegro technically was in war with Japan for 101 years, and they signed a peace treaty in 2006. Montenegro was aligned with Russia in Russo-Japanese War, and they declared war on Japan, but they forgot to peace. 1904 Olympic Marathon in St. Louis. The #1 finisher drove most of the race. He started the race, got tired and heat exhausted, and wanted to drop out. He got in a car to go to Dairy Queen himself and headed back to the stadium, but along the way, he realized he was near the finish line and got out to claim the glory. The number 2 finisher was carried across the finish line by his trainers. On a bogus pseudoscience theory, the trainers had been giving him a mixture of brandy, egg whites, and rat poison instead of water. When it came out that the number 1 finisher had driven most of the course, this guy was given the gold despite the help from his trainers to finish. For some reason, the number 3 finisher was just a regular guy who did nothing unusual. In this case, ordinary was extraordinary. The number 4 finisher was a Cuban mailman who had raised the money to attend the Olympics by running around his entire country and asking for donations. When he landed in New Orleans, he lost all of the money gambling. He managed to scrounge enough to get to St. Louis and attended the Olympics. However, he had no money for athletic gear, so he ran in dress shoes and pants hacked off at the knee by a fellow racer who happened to have a knife. He probably would have come in first place had it been for the hour-long nap he took on the side of the road after eating rotten apples he found at an orchard near the course. The number 9 and number 12 finishers were from South Africa and ran barefoot. South Africa didn't actually send a delegation. These were students who just happened to be in town and thought it sounded fun. Number 9 chased a mile off course by angry dogs. Half the participants had never raced competitively before. Some died. St. Louis only had 1 water stop on the entire run. This, coupled with the dusty road and exacerbated by the cars kicking up dust, led to several fatalities. The Russian delegation arrived a week late because they were still using the Julian calendar until 1918, which effectively the rest of the world had switched to the Gregorian calendar. Oh my gosh, that is insane. And with that, you've been listening to the best of Rslash. If you like what we're doing, please leave a thumbs up, as that is the best and fastest way to help our channel grow. Also, you should consider subscribing because we create content like this on both YouTube and on podcast.